Welcome to a special edition, a bonus episode of the Carey Nieuwhof Leadership Podcast. Carey here. I'm joined by, someone you're going to meet in a few minutes, a new friend, Randall Garcia. Going to talk about that. But we're doing this episode because we want to take you behind the scenes on something brand new that I have just launched this month called the Art of Leadership Academy. And I'm excited to tell you about it. And Randall's kind of an alumni of a beta that I ran called Leader Circle. So for those of you who love creating products, for those of you who love creating things for leaders, this is a bit of a behind the scenes. And for those of you who maybe aren't in the academy yet, and there are many, many leaders joining up, you'll find out what it's about. And then for those of you who might like to be in it or are already in it, you're going to get a behind the scenes tour. So we're going to talk about that. So what is, before I introduce Randall, the Art of Leadership Academy? So we've been working on this for about 6 months. In fact, my staff, we went away last fall of 2021, and we thought, how can we serve leaders better? And we realized that what we were doing was getting great results. But, the leadership principle here is we could see that, okay, we're hitting a little bit of a flatter curve here. Is there a better way to serve leaders? So we looked at everything that we were doing. And the model that I've had, really, since I started everything, is most of what we do is free, and the little bit that's paid, it takes care of all the costs and everything. So it's our paid content that really powers things. And we have done that by selling online courses a la carte. We put a lot of investment into our courses. We shoot them professionally, and we've had a lot of success. We've run 29,000 leaders through our paid and free courses, about 15,000 through our paid courses. So we're really, really thrilled with that. But one of the things we've really noticed, particularly from the pandemic, is that people are lonely. And the quality of conversation that happens online, Randall, you can chime in here, not always that great. What you see, you get the trolls in your channels or whatever. And we were having a dialogue inside Leader Circle with just a few dozen leaders that was game-changing for a lot of people, right? And we'll come back to the Art of Leadership Academy in a moment. But what did you discover? What did you experience in the beta for the Academy as you joined this community that I built for initially just a handful of leaders, now hundreds, and soon we think thousands of leaders? Tell me about the quality of conversation you experienced in the calls, in the channels that we set up for this sort of, not offline communication, but it's just not being hosted by, one of the major tech companies. What did you discover in that community?
Yeah, Carey, number one, I want to let you know, I join with humility. I always believe that if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. And so I always craved not only to develop my own leadership and to lead people. I think a lot of us have the desire to lead people, but I also want to be led because I don't know it all. 33 years old. I've had a lot of experiences, but there's so many other people that I've learned from, especially joining your Leaders Circle. It's been an amazing experience because not only am I learning from people who have more experience than me, but I'm learning from people who have different experience from me. And so, we're talking about people all over the country, even in other. I'm in San Antonio, Texas. Carey, you're in Canada, and we get to communicate in the context of our own communities, but also looking at things in a broader scale. So, one of my favorite things is the ability to connect with high-level leaders from all over. It's amazing. And I feel like my growth as a leader has been exponential because of this experience. So I thank you for opening it up for that beta version, and I'm also looking forward to what's ahead.
Well, as many things, we didn't think it was the beta version, but it turned out to be, because as our imagination grew, we said, what if we just did this for everybody? And that's the idea behind the Academy. So I'm going to interview Randall, talk about his experiences, and he's the kind of leader, the kind of peer that you're going to meet in the Academy. But here's what we did. We decided that we were not going to offer one course or two courses or a new course, but if you join the Academy, you get all of my content, everything we've done, everything that is current, including a brand new course called The Art of Online Influence. That's included in the Academy. We actually built a custom app, which is pretty sweet. It runs on your iPhone. It runs on, actually, let me open it up here for those of you who are watching, runs on your iPhone, Also what runs on whatever browser you happen to be using, any of the browsers. And you can access community and content in there. So you get access to all of my online content. It comes with an app. You get all of my courses, include the Art of Better Preaching, the Art of Team Leadership, the At Your Best course and masterclass, the Art of Online Influence, my brand new course. All of that is available on demand. It's a little bit like Netflix. You kind of know where you left off and then you pick up. So that's taken care of. We do live monthly coaching calls. That was something that you and I have done for a little while with just that handful of leaders. And they've been really, really life-giving. So I do a little bit of teaching. I'll bring other faculty in as well. Then there's a live Q&A for Academy members. Then we do monthly done-for-you staff training. So myself and increasingly other faculty will be providing about 15, 20 minutes worth of teaching every month. You can press play, or we give you the notes. You can train your staff. A lot of leaders don't do staff training. You can train your staff. We show you how to do that. So you get content. That's the content side. But you also get this community that we've talked about. And we want to create the most robust community that you can imagine. And what we've done is we built faculty. So Randall will be part of it, but so will thought leaders like Nona Jones, Derwin Gray. Nona works for Facebook, for Meta. She's been a guest on the podcast. Derwin Gray from Transformation Church, Rich Birch from Unseminary. He's going to be a thought leader in the community. Kenny Jang, Vance Roush. You'll hear a lot of podcast alumni coming up here. Tony Morgan from the Unstuck group. Josh Surratt from Seacoast. Grant and Cheyenne Skeldon from Q Ideas and Glue. Joey and Christy Spears from Creative Rise and Brand Therapy. And many, many others. Like there's literally over 3 dozen, almost 4 dozen thought leaders who you're going to be interacting with. We want to give you access to best-in-class leaders. So all of that is what the Academy is about. And it's one low fee a year, $397 a year. That's it. So rather than buying a course for that price, you get all of this. You get community, you get content, you get training, you get coaching, and you get access to best-in-class leaders. And you get some really exciting peers along the way. So you're a member of the Academy, Randall. We've brought you into the Academy. Tell us a little bit about your background, because I want to interview you. You're going to interview me a little bit more about the Academy, but it blows me away about the quality of members in the Academy. So let me give you a brief resume for Randall. And I've been dealing with you for about a month or two, just connecting. And then you sent me your resume and I'm like, what the heck? So, anyway, at 25, you became the owner of a multi-million-dollar insurance agency, which you just transitioned out of as owner and handed things over to other people. You're a bi-vocational pastor in Texas. You've had a couple of podcasts. You speak, you consult with companies and with churches, and you're 33 years old doing all this. Dude, that's incredible. Like, holy cow. So what drew you? You've kind of hinted at it already. Why are you in the Academy? What could you possibly benefit from it?
It sounds, that resume sounds like I've done a lot, but in all reality, I know that God still has more. I also know that there's leaders who still know more than me. I crave knowledge. I crave to learn from leaders. And most of all, I love the idea that most of the leaders that are in the circle and in the Academy are business leaders that love God, right, and love people. And so I love connecting with these other leaders. One of the things that really drew me in was the quality of leaders. And also, Carey, I've been following you for a while, and I kind of nerd out on all the Barna research and things
all
that you do.
Stuff
Use that all over my sermons. If you go back, I'm always using the data. And so when this opportunity came about, I just thought it was amazing. And I thought it was the next step in my personal development. And, it has not failed. There's not been a single call. There has not been a single Q&A. There hasn't been a single Slack message probably in that community where I haven't gotten something valuable from that. So it has been an amazing experience.
Well, that's pretty cool. I'm excited. We're in the very early stages of the Academy, but the Slack channel has become a custom app. It was not cheap, I'll tell you that. But the robustness of the app is pretty neat. And the thing that I was really committed about when my team looked at it, do we want to invest in this? The thing that I find frustrating, I mean, Slack's great. We use it at work, but it's got its limits. If you have hundreds of people inside a Slack channel, it can become overwhelming.
Yeah.
But we actually, and we thought, well, we could take it into a Facebook group or something like that, or something on another social media platform. The challenge I have with that, Randall, is those are always controlled by algorithms. So I just did a Facebook group for another thing. There were 3,100 members in it. I mean, to sort through, the algorithm is deciding what you see. The algorithm decides how many comments you see. The algorithm, unless you really MacGyver the features, determines that. And what's really cool is you can create, the way we've designed it, is you can create your own feed. And we are not going to run that for you. We're not going to tell you what to look at. You can follow topics. You can follow leaders. It's got this really cool feature. Have you seen this yet in the app? I was looking at it, and now that we've got, critical mass, it works. But it's got this thing, it's like near me. You just look at members and you find out who lives near you. And because you had that experience too. So the beta, which was way smaller, like we're looking at 36 people max, you made friends with people across the country, right?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. Like you ended up doing some traveling with people in the community.
I'm glad you segued into that, because early on, one of the things that I love to contribute to the other leaders was my background in marketing, sales, branding, kind of that realm, especially digital. And so I just came in as a servant to serve. I was writing in the Slack channel, trying to help as many people as I could on certain things. And then I just got this message from John Brim, part of our leader circle. And he says, "Hey, what you're talking about, I really want to, I want to have a Zoom call with you, because I think we need what you're talking about." So we got on a Zoom call. The following week, he flies me up to DC. I actually ended up training his team at an executive retreat that they had. I fly back 2 months later. He says, "We liked it so much. We want you to speak to all of our church leaders," which was a little bit over 100 people in 2 different sessions. And and now John and I are like great friends. If either of I miss a call at the leader circle, Carey, you don't know this, but he would call me, "Hey, Randall, where were you? You missed out." And then if I didn't say, hey, John, where are you? And what's cool about this is he's on the other side of the country, and we've become really good friends. And he is a high-level leader. If you look at his resume, I mean, if you look at John's resume, his resume is amazing. And so this is why I joined to begin with, is to network and to build relationships with other great leaders. So great experience for me.
How I built this, or why I built this kind of episode, that was one of the things that I was really concerned about, because, the quality of online dialogue, not that great. You get a lot of trolls, but there's incredible leaders. And I talk to so many leaders like you, and we know geography isn't a barrier anymore, right? And what you're looking for is, who can I talk to? Who can I brainstorm with, both in the app, like in the academy, but also like a friendship that goes to a text chain, a friendship that means I'm jumping on an airplane and let's hang out or let's have dinner. And then with the near me feature, as we get hundreds and soon thousands of people into the academy, you'll realize, are you kidding me? There's like 5 people in the city, my county, my state, that I really connect with. I didn't even know you existed. Let's go get together and have dinner. Let's have lunch. Let's hang out at my place. And you build friendships. And this is something you've done. What I've done, I've invested, over the years, significant amounts of money, not just in conferences, but also in coaches, in performance coaches, et cetera. You have studied under legends like Ray Edwards, who, if you know anything about copywriting, is one of the best alive. Jeff Walker, a guy who he's the market leader on course launches, and Donald Miller, who a lot of our leaders would know because he's been on the podcast and obviously very popular in similar circles. What did you learn from them? Fully realizing this could be a whole show, right? But what do you learn about leaders like that as you made the investment in them?
One of my pleasures has not only been to learn from these guys, but I've worked very closely with some of their top coaches who've helped me in growing my businesses and launching products. And even I had one of my favorite people, Wes Gay. He's one of Donald Miller's top story brand guides. Wes, we get on we're doing a twice a month call where he was coaching me through some things, church related. And then sometimes we get, we talk about business and other things. But, one of the things that Donald Miller says, and Wes Gay is always reminding me of, is the whole idea of when you confuse, you lose, right? Keep it simple. Don't over communicate something. Keep it simple, keep it concise, keep it tight. When you're communicating to your customer or to the congregation at your church, keep it simple. And so Wes is always reminding me, KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. And I think that's what I've learned from Don and Wes. Jeff Walker, I've learned a lot of how to move people to take action and relationship marketing. And then Ray Edwards, of course, I've actually hired one of his coaches during one of my product launches. And he, learned a lot about sales psychology, communicating in written form. And it's interesting, my background in business, I truly believe has really helped me in ministry now. Still being a bivocational pastor, I think that sometimes, the people who work in a church full time forget what it's like in the business world. People in the business world don't know what it's like to be in a church. And for me to see both sides of this has been completely amazing. And for churches and other leaders who've, gotten with me to do some coaching, I think light bulbs go off when you start, taking marketplace ministry and making it applicable to the church setting. So I learned so much. I'm a student before I'm a leader, I would say.
Well, you've accomplished an awful lot. I mean, to own and then sell an insurance agency, through your 20s and into your early 30s. What caused you to end up being the president of an insurance company in your mid-20s?
Well, just clarification. I still own the insurance agency. I haven't sold it.
Oh, you still own it?
Yeah. I haven't sold it.
See, you're a smart leader. You're a smart leader.
And it's growing, actually. That's the crazy part is it's growing. I mean, we're growing every month and it's thriving. I have a regional manager that helps me manage our region that does an amazing job, a tremendous job. And, it's been great. I have learned a lot, but one of the things that I feel like has been a great lesson for me is to invest in people, right? Yeah. I couldn't do this without my people. In fact, part of the ways I became one of the ways I became a pastor was because my dad founded a church in 1994, right? And 26 years later, we went through a pastoral transition, right? I became a pastor 3 years ago. And it's been an amazing experience, but I've kept key people around, right? I can't do this all on my own. People say, Randall, how do you do it? I said, I don't. I invest in people. I'm a leader. I delegate. I know how to manage my people and get the most out of them. It truly isn't anything that I've done, but the people that I've surrounded myself with. So I think as a leader, that's something. I mean, Carey, you launched At Your Best, right? And it's talking about time management and resting and doing all these things. Without my people, I would be spinning my wheels working 80, 100 hours a week. And so one of my goals in life was to get to this place to kind of build something that can self-sustain. And so because of leaders like you investing into me and a lot of the questions I ask, I feel like I've finally achieved that. And it's still rolling.
Well, at 33, ahead of a lot of 50-year-olds, I can tell you that. That honestly, Randall, was something I really struggled with for years. Yeah. There's sort of the control thing. And I think I finally figured out some of that in my 40s, and I'm still learning at this stage in life. But that's huge. And I know you're going to be bringing that kind of insight in the comments, in the chat, inside the Academy.
Oh, yeah.
You also, just in the interest of time, why don't we flip the mic?
Yeah.
I want to give you an opportunity to ask me some questions. Go ahead and take it away. I'm not quite sure what you're going to ask me. You can ask me about the Academy. You can ask me about whatever. But, this is the kind of dialogue we want to have inside the Academy. So we thought we would model it a little bit. And this is the kind of dialogue that you and I have had, in the beta that we did leading up to the launch of the Academy.
Yeah. Well, I know you kind of addressed it earlier, but my first question is basic, and then we'll get to the tougher ones. But I want to hear from your heart of hearts. Why did you create the Academy? I know there's so much great content. I know there's great programs. I know you want to bring leaders together, but I feel like I want to dig just one level deeper, 2 levels deeper.
Yeah.
Tell me in your heart of hearts, why did you create the Art of Leadership Academy?
We created it. First of all, it wasn't my idea. I want to give credit to Sam on my team who thought of it and kind of brought a proposal. And at first I thought, I don't even know if this is going to work. Like if we're selling a course, one course at $397, and now you get all of my courses for that price, like isn't that a shoot me in the head moment business wise? And then we started talking about community because I'm really passionate about community. And we're like, well, let's just throw that in. And then let's morph Leaders Circle into the academy, but let's throw it open to hundreds, thousands of leaders and see what happens. And so it really was an idea that kind of grew and grew and grew. But here's why. And then I thought, okay, what if we recruited? Because I had led all of the dialogue in the beta, and I will be doing a monthly coaching call. I'll be offering cohorts in it, et cetera. So there will be one-on-one interaction with me. But I also realized I've been convicted by the fact that it's too much me on my channels. It's the Carey Nieuwhof Leadership Podcast that you're listening to. It is, CareyNieuwhof.com. And we've been talking about for years now, how do we create something that is bigger than me, which, you own your insurance agency, but now you've got a team running it. I don't own a church. Nobody owns a church, but I was lead pastor, founded it, the whole deal. It's running beautifully without me now, and I'm completely transitioned. And I want to do this for the rest of my life. I love this. But I also realized, I think it was Bob Buford who said, at this stage of my life, I'm 57 by the time this airs, my fruit grows on other people's trees. This isn't about me getting behind the mic all the time. It's about making space for other leaders. That's why I'm so excited by the faculty that we put together, the conversation leaders, the specialists. So it's not just people who lead mega churches, but we have people who lead micro churches who are leading the conversation, people who lead small churches, which is the majority, people who are running, we got a business owner in Toronto who runs a jewelry shop, really innovative guy. We've got Vance Roush from Silicon Valley running a tech startup in crypto who are advising people inside the group. So this becomes suddenly a lot bigger than me. It's called the Art of Leadership Academy, not the Carey Nieuwhof Academy. So I'm going to be very present in it, but I think this is the ticket to the future. And it's a way of democratizing it. So you don't have to have a massive budget. It's $397 a year, which is probably underpriced. But I would rather underprice something than overprice something. So that's really the thinking, the why I built this behind it. And we're really hoping it becomes a premier, like we try to upload premium content. And again, I'm going to be producing courses every year, but we will diversify the offering. Somebody who's not just me and my perspective, but some of the best talent that we can bring. So you're going to get all that inside the academy. But I also hope it becomes a premium forum for church and faith-minded business leaders, small and mid-sized business owners, that they go, this is my community. This is my tribe. These are my people. This is our content. We're learning together. We're growing. And I think it's off to a great start.
Carey, does you launching the Art of Leadership Academy, I think you mentioned on one of our calls, I think you were mentioning how it also has something to do with the culture and this time. And it's time for leaders to, rise up and join together. Could you speak to that for a moment, and tell me why the timing is great, especially in our culture and our time?
I think most of us got isolated in the last 2 years. We've been defeated. We've had friendships dissolve. And the need for community has been around. I mean, I've been leading for over 2 decades. So I remember being lonely as when I was your age, when I was 33, Randall, I was leading 3 small growing churches. I should have been bi-vocational because they hardly had any money to pay me, but I wasn't. It was just full time. And, and I would read books. We didn't really have the internet as we know it at that time. I would save up and jump on an airplane and go to a conference. And I would try to learn. I'd be in the back row taking notes. And obviously the world's changed a lot over the last 25 years. And now, That isolation has been a chronic problem in leadership. I think it got exacerbated over the last 2 years with all the division, the polarization, and leaders are deflated. And the problem with dialogue online is it is controlled by an algorithm. You get all the trolls there, and we've got values for this. We're going to talk about, and I'm not talking about, we're all left wing or right wing or in the middle or whatever. No. There's going to be diversity of opinion. There's going to be, we were really careful with our faculty. Age diversity, racial diversity, gender diversity, all of that stuff. So you're going to get different perspectives. And there's a little bit of theological diversity too. Not craziness, it's Christians, but not everybody who exactly agrees with everything you say, which I don't think is the key to real growth and healthy community. But this is a place where we can focus on what we agree on. This is a place where we can respect and honor each other. This is a place where you can get to the real issues of leadership without all the political garbage and the nonsense and the trolls and the anger. And this is a place where, because a lot of people are like, I don't know anyone in my city that can really help me with this. Or maybe, we do have some mega church leaders involved. You lead the biggest thing in your town and you're like, I love the other, pastors, but I can't have a conversation with them. I love the other business leaders, but they don't understand. Like, how many 33-year-olds can you talk about to what you do, Randall?
That was my problem.
There's not a whole lot of, that is your problem. Okay. So what did you do about your problem? That's a real thing.
Yeah. I mean, if you're asking me, I've always been conscious of that problem. And, I think that for me, it was just the self-awareness, knowing who I am and knowing where I stand in business and ministry in a very under the microscope kind of way. I mean, because I feel like, and pastors would, I think they'd identify with this, they're under the microscope at church, but when you're bivocational, now everyone at work knows you're a pastor. And so they're going to hold you under a microscope. And so I've known who I was and the position that I hold. And so really, I was seeking an outlet. I wanted to learn from other leaders who had different experiences than me and also had more experience than me. And so it was an outlet for me and also an investment. I know you and I talked about investing in ourselves, investing in our growth. Carey, I told you a story. I hope this is an embarrassing story. But when I was 23, I invested like $10,000 in a coach. It was money that I didn't have. I'm not ashamed to say this because that investment was actually what sparked my business. It moved it forward. Wow. I learned so much through that coach. I'm so glad they were actually legit, and they coached me through everything. And so, for me, when you say you're going to offer yours at $397, I'm like, wow, I wish I had a faith-based leader back then to help me through all of these leadership challenges. Now, I've always believed in investing in myself. And like I said earlier, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I was looking for that room.
New room.
Where's that new room? Where's that next room that I can enter where I'm just going to soak everything in from all the other leaders. So that's how I
see. That's so wise. Mm-hmm. A couple of years ago, I spent a rather large amount, I don't want to say, on some coaching, private coaching. It was the most I'd ever spent. It was such a good investment. Yeah. It's such a good investment. And I understand church world. I get it. I live with very tiny budgets. And that's why we tried to figure out, okay, can we do this? $397 a year. We can do it. And so we're doing it. We're putting it out there. And this should be a great community. Whether you lead a very small church or a very large thing, you will find people who can probably empathize, understand, help you. And the other thing I was going to say, just to complete a thought, Randall, when I've got 21 million downloads on this podcast, what are the keys to 50 million? There's not a whole lot of other people I can talk to because you're in the top 1% in the world. And how many other 33-year-olds at the game can you go, so when you moved yourself out of your business, but you're still the owner and you got a multi-7-figure business, like, how do you do that? They're like, I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
So you've got to either get on a plane or find these people, and you're going to find people like that in the academy. And you'll also find people, we have small church specialists that are going to say, I know what it's like to have 142 people in the room or 17 people in the room or 286 people in the room. I know what that's like. So because that's the reality of leadership today. Anything else you want to, pick up?
I just want to say, the quality of the conversations doesn't ever leave me wanting more. I mean, there's after our calls, after our Q&As, I'm just meditating on all of the things that we learned and next steps and strategies and like actually applicable ways that we can move things forward. It's not just this hodgepodge of ideas, right? Of we're just going to have a chat. But there's a lot of practicality that comes from it, especially when the leaders speak up and share, hey, I tried that before. Here's the pros and the cons. And then I'm able to weigh them out a little bit more with somebody who's tried some different things. And I would much rather learn from other people's experience than to, do trial and error my whole life. Trial and error is not bad, but I do love learning from other leaders. So it's
and what's been great too is to see people start to share not only ideas but actual documents. Like, what's your staff manual on hiring or letting someone go? And you see the files start to swap between members, and they're like, "Thank you so much for this," or "Hey, I've been down that road. Try it this way." Like, to see each other, and it's funny because as we morphed into the academy from Leader Circle, I went around at our last call with that small beta group and just ask, what's the most valuable thing? And as a leader, I think one person said, "Carey, your content was great." But everybody else, you know what they said? This community, this group, this tribe. And that to me was the money, because to me that was successful. And go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking one of my favorite marketing gurus, which we didn't mention before, is Stu McLaren. He launched Tribe, and he also consulted with Michael Hyatt. And I actually know him personally. He's been on my podcast, the Millennial Leadership Show. When I was going through Tribe and getting the coaching for membership sites, Stu would always say this: people come for the content, but they stay for the community. And that was always great for me, because I knew that the content was like initially what attracted me to the courses and things like that. But the community or the coaching or the ongoing relationships were always well worth my investment alone. Like, I'm not saying without the content, but they pair together so well, because you learn something, and then not only are you able to learn it initially, but you're able to kind of replicate it and hash things out on an ongoing basis with community. And so I think one is a one hit, the content, but people stay for the community.
I didn't realize that came from Stu McLaren, because what my team and I have been saying internally is, I think people are going to come for the content. They're going to stay for the community. And, and it's just so valuable, because you can get content anywhere. And obviously the premium content, that is the best stuff I offer. And we put a lot of money, thought, time into it. And, we have a ridiculously low refund rate on our online courses. I think it's below 1%.
Wow.
Which apparently online it's 10 to 30%. Yeah. But, you will get value out of that. And there's a half dozen, and there's staff training, and there's monthly coaching calls. And we're going to answer your questions. There's cohorts. But I think the community, and you've gotten to see Randall a little bit. He'll be in there. And you're going to be surrounded by hundreds and soon thousands of people with similar heartbeats. And what we want to do is we want to get rid of the corrosive aspects of community and really recreate the collegial aspects of community. That you may not agree with everyone, but you're not going to be disagreeable. You're going to learn from people. You're going to be a student. You're going to build friendships. You're going to end up getting on a plane like Randall and John have, so that they can hang out and be friends. And you're going to find people near you who actually are trying to do the same thing and might be a step ahead, or perhaps they're a step behind and you can help them. So that's sort of the vision behind the Academy. Any last thought before we wrap up today?
Carey, one of the things that I just wanted to share with your audience is, one of my biggest strengths, if I could provide any value to your audience on top of this, like ongoing, and also I would love to provide this in your academy, but I do a training called Leading a Movement. And not to go too deep into that, but basically I take relationship marketing principles on how to move people through like the selling process. It's a business tool, but I've actually adapted it for churches for their next steps model. And it's very interesting because marketing, in marketing and sales, you talk about moving them through the value ladder or whatever to get them to take the next steps. In churches, you call it assimilation, how to get people to take their next steps. And there's so much to learn from these marketing and sales concepts that churches can apply. I know it doesn't sound that spiritual at all, but when you pray about it and, okay, what's right for my church? What's right for my congregation? I think that a lot of it starts to click for many pastors and churches and leaders that I've trained. So I hope you don't mind, Carey, but I have a free video. There's no opt-in, there's no nothing. You can just watch the video, and it's at randallsgarcia.com. There's no opt-in. You don't have to give me any information. If you watch the video, I think that you'd get a tremendous value on what I call leading a movement, getting people to move to their next steps with Jesus. And you might learn something.
Oh, you will. Okay, randallsgarcia.com. We'll make a note of that. Randall, I want to thank you. And these are the kind of leaders you're going to meet inside the academy. I would love for you. And listen, just for the record, this may not be for everybody. Totally understand that. We're going to keep bringing you the podcast for free. It's free to you. I'm going to keep writing on my website at careynieuwhof.com. We'll still do the emails that we do on a regular basis. But if you're ready for a bit of an oasis in the leadership landscape, if you're ready to invest in yourself, and it's not a lot, we try to keep the price very fair. $397 a year gets you full membership in the academy, access to all of our courses, online monthly training, online Q&A, staff training, and an incredible community with a bunch of thought leaders, many of whom you already follow. They're inside the community leading the dialogue, and lots of colleagues like Randall. We'd love to see you inside. So whatever you're doing in the business space or the church space, you can sign up today at theartofleadershipacademy.com. We'll also love to have your team members. There's a discount if you bring team members in too, so you can find that all at theartofleadershipacademy.com. Randall, I want to thank you so much for helping me do a bit of a deep dive and explain to our podcast listeners where we would like to meet them inside the academy. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Carey. Appreciate you.
All right. Hope our time together today has helped you thrive in life and leadership, and it's back to our regularly scheduled programming soon. So once again, theartofleadershipacademy.com. Hopefully we'll see you inside. Thanks for watching the Carey Nieuwhof Leadership Podcast on YouTube. So glad you tuned in. I hope it helps you thrive in life and leadership. And if you haven't checked it out yet, head on over to the Art of Leadership Academy. In that, I give you everything you need to lead, run, and grow a church. We'll see you next time.